I remember once having an issue at work and I spoke up about it. Something wasn't going right, and I was the person who said, like, we can't continue like this as an organization. It was something that was damaging to the people that we were leading, and it wasn't helping in terms of team morale. And I remember I was in that role maybe for a few months, so people were still getting to know me, especially the executive team where I shared this. And, people kind of looked at me like, oh, we thought you were the quiet one. Now you're speaking up. And this is a huge misconception that people have about quiet leadership. It doesn't mean that you're passive. It doesn't mean that you're silent. It doesn't mean that you're withdrawn. It's just a different style of leadership that focuses more on putting the spotlight on others instead of putting the spotlight on yourself. So let's look at a definition of quiet leadership. I just found this online and I thought it was a good one. So I found this on a website called Product Teacher, and they say quiet leaders put their teams and organization success ahead of individual glory. Rather than seeking the spotlight, they work to make others look good and achieve their goals. And this is what quiet leadership really is. It's about empathy. It's about active listening. It's about informed decision making that puts others ahead of yourself. And at the end of the day, when others win, you will win as well as a leader. So it is mutually beneficial for you as a quiet leader to put your team first and ensure their success. So let's just look at a couple of things of what a quiet leader is and what they are not. So in terms of communication style, a quiet leader is definitely thoughtful and reflective. For example, I'm a person who typically wants to get the time to think about things before just giving an answer or making a decision. It doesn't mean that I am silent or withdrawn, although people read it like that sometimes. It just means that I'm really processing the information. I'm someone who needs to observe and process before making a decision or before taking an appropriate step. And so in terms of my communication style, I, for example, will ask people to give me a heads up before they call me for a Teams meeting or they call me on Zoom. I don't want you to randomly call me because at that time I may be busy, or at that time I may be doing something else that requires my attention. And so just calling people randomly may work for some people depending on who you are, but for someone like me, it doesn't allow me to get the time to reflect and actually get my thoughts together before I get on the call. So that's just one example, but communication style can be very different depending on your personality. And as a leader, obviously, it's important to know your own communication style, but also know the communication style of your team members so you can adjust and adapt as necessary. Quiet leadership is definitely about leading by example and subtly influencing your team in the right direction. It is not about lacking presence or lacking authority. Even as a quiet leader, build your brand. It doesn't mean, okay, I'm putting my team first, so I'm not building my own career or not focusing on my own advancement. As I shared at the beginning, it's a win-win. When your team wins, you win as well. So quiet leadership is truly about you being able to recognize the skills, the strengths that you have to offer and leveraging them for the benefit of your team. You're most likely here because you are a quiet leader. I have a quiz that's called the Introvert at Work quiz, where I take you through a couple of questions, and basically through that, you will be able to uncover what are the key strengths that you have that can help you at work. So check out the description. I share the link there to the Introvert at Work quiz. And if you're someone who's still trying to figure out what are those strengths that I have that can benefit my team or can benefit my organization, that quiz will truly help you. Quiet leaders are not antisocial or disconnected. I've had this experience where someone actually told me, like, you're antisocial. I've people have given me all kinds of different comments for lack of understanding of who I was, and also because a lot of times, especially if you're a direct report, people expect you, unfortunately, a lot of leaders expect you to be like them. They want to see people who are like them, instead of realizing that being a leader is truly about being adaptive, being inclusive of the differences you have on your team, and bringing them together to benefit the whole team, but also lift people up. And that's the part of leadership that is often missed in a lot of organizations. The reason is that we often see someone who is great at what they do. They talk a lot, they are producing results, and people automatically think, oh, the loudest person is the leader. So all of a sudden this person gets a promotion. They have no leadership training. They have not been equipped with the tools that are necessary to be a leader. But because they were a top performer and they have charisma and the personality, they are now a leader in an organization. And this is where it creates a lot of tension when they now find themselves in leadership roles, because people management is a completely different skill set from whatever the job you were doing previously, where it was focused more on your expertise. But now the expertise is not really what is the main focus. What is the main focus is actually managing and leading people. And I've seen this so many times in many organizations, my own personal experience as well. And that's why you always see these posts on LinkedIn, or you've probably heard the quotes that people don't leave organizations, they leave bad managers. And that's the problem when the wrong person now becomes a leader. One thing I find amazing about quiet leadership is that it focuses on deep and meaningful relationships, actually taking the time to getting to know the people that you work with and understanding what they have to offer, understanding their boundaries, understanding their skills and their strengths, and being able to amplify them. And if there is areas of improvement or areas that they need to work on, providing them with that support so that they can achieve it. But it's only through that communication that you'll actually understand what are the areas that this person may need to work on, and support them in an inclusive but also caring way. Introverts have many strengths that are extremely valuable to the workplace. I recently read a Forbes article that was saying the future of leadership will look to introverts. I firmly believe that introverts are the now of our workplaces, not the future, because ultimately there's so many challenges happening in the workplace. You've heard all the different terms that keep coming up, from quiet quitting to, the great resignation and the impact that it's had right now, and just different challenges with the whole return to the office and its implementation. There is a need for a change in the way that we lead and we manage organizations. People have definitely changed their mindset and the way that they live following the pandemic, but it seems like the organizations that we serve and work for have not made that same mindset shift. And this is where it's creating a clash in a lot of workplaces. And so quiet leadership is not something of the future. It's for the now. It's important now that you listen to your team. It's important now that you put them first and you prioritize them, because when you are able to do so, you will be able to get greater results, and that will ultimately help you in terms of your own career, but it will help the organization and your bottom line as well. For my introverts who are looking for additional tips on how to thrive at work as an introvert, tap here to watch this video. I'll see you in that one. Take care.